Hey everyone, welcome back to Excel Edge Realty.
Back again for another deep dive.
That's right, I'm Lex.
And I'm Vera.
And we are ready to jump into a topic that's been generating a lot of buzz online.
Yeah, some pretty strong opinions out there.
Especially for our Filipino listeners. You know, those first-time home buyers or those thinking about investing in property.
Especially in Palawan.
Exactly, Palawan. So this is all stemming from a social media post, right?
Yeah, it's making the rounds.
Claiming that Palawan actually belongs to China.
And going so far as to rename it Zhenghe Island.
Zhenghe Island?
Yeah.
Where is this even coming from?
Well, the post basically says that China governed Palawan for like 1,000 years.
1,000 years?
Yeah, and that it should be returned to them.
But Palawan is part of the Philippines. Like, that's a fact.
Right, and that's where we need to dig a little deeper.
Yeah, separate fact from fiction.
Exactly, just because someone sailed by a place a long time ago.
Doesn't mean they own it.
Exactly. I mean, think about it this way. If you visited a friend's house.
You can't just turn around and be like, it's mine now.
No, that's not how it works.
So who is this Zheng Sheng anyway?
Well, Zheng,
Yep.
He was a Chinese explorer who sailed through Southeast Asia.
Centuries ago.
Yeah, way back in the 1400s.
And they're using that as proof of ownership.
That's what they're trying to do, but the Philippines is not having it.
And good for them. So what's the Philippines' response to all of this?
They've come out swinging.
Yeah, I was reading that the National Historical Commission of the Philippines,
The NHCP.
the NHCP, yeah, they've completely rejected this claim.
Yeah, they're not mincing words.
So what evidence do they have?
Well, for starters, they're pointing to archaeological evidence that shows people have lived in Palawan.
For how long?
For at least 50,000 years.
50,000 years.
That
right.
really?
That's incredible. I mean,
That predates Zhang. His voyages by a long shot.
way before.
And it shows a continuous cultural link between Palawan and the rest of the Philippines.
So the connection runs deep.
It does.
So basically, people have called Palawan home since way before.
Way before any Chinese explorers showed up.
Yeah, so that kind of blows their argument out of the water.
It does, doesn't it? But they didn't stop there.
The NHCP?
Yeah, they dug even deeper and they went through all these historical accounts.
Like what?
Well, including those by Antonio Pigafetta.
Who's that?
He was the chronicler who sailed with Magellan.
Magellan, the first guy to circumnavigate the globe.
Exactly. And even in his detailed records, there's zero mention.
Of any permanent Chinese settlements in Palawan.
None whatsoever.
So you'd think if they were governing the island for 1,000 years...
Someone would have written about it, right?
Exactly. You can't just erase history.
Well, that's what they're trying to do.
So we've got the archaeological evidence.
We've got the lack of any written accounts.
So this claim already seems pretty flimsy.
It does, doesn't it? But wait, there's more.
Hit me with it.
Maps.
Maps.
Yeah, European maps from the 1500s all the way to the 1800s.
What do they show?
They consistently depict Palawan as part of the Philippines.
So for centuries, cartographers...
They all agreed.
...that Palawan was part of the Philippines.
No question about it.
It wasn't like some secret island that no one knew about.
No, it was clearly marked.
Wow, so we've got archaeological evidence.
Historical accounts,
Ugh.
all supporting the Philippines' claim.
Okay, but what about any legal documents?
You mean like treaties?
Exactly. Treaties.
We've got those too.
Tell me more.
Well, there's the Treaty of Paris from 1898
Okay.
and the Treaty of Washington from 1900.
Yeah.
Both of these treaties officially established the borders of the Philippines.
And guess what?
Palawan is included.
Right there in black and white.
Officially recognized.
Treaties are kind of a big deal, right?
A very big deal. They're legally binding agreements between nations.
So this isn't just some casual we said, they said situation.
No, these are serious international agreements.
So these treaties clearly show
that Palawan was internationally recognized as part of the Philippines.
long before this social media post even existed.
Way before.
So, I mean, case closed, right?
Well, not so fast.
We
still need to talk about what this means for you.
our listeners.
Yes, especially if you're interested in real estate.
Right, because even if this claim is completely bogus,
Just the fact that it's out there.
could have a real impact.
Especially on the Philippine economy.
And, of course, the real estate market.
That's right.
So before we get into all of that,
There's something else we need to address.
lay it on me.
I was reading that Palawan has a Muslim population.
Really? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of their history.
I had no idea.
The Panamasan people are some of the early Muslim inhabitants of the island.
The Panamasan people.
Yeah, they were converted to Islam through their contact with the Sulu Sultanate.
The Sulu Sultanate.
Yeah, so even back then you can see these connections between Palawan and other parts of the Philippines.
Right. So it's not like this isolated place that has no ties to the rest of the country.
Exactly.
All right. So we've established that this claim on Palawan,
Doesn't really hold water.
it's based on a misinterpretation of history.
And ignores a whole bunch of evidence.
But the question remains.
What does this mean for the real estate market in the Philippines?
That's the million-dollar question.
And it's something we need to explore because even if this claim is bogus,
The uncertainty it creates could have some serious consequences.
we'll dive into all of that in the next part of our deep dive.
So stay tuned, folks.
It's going to get interesting.
We'll be back with more after the break. All right, so we're back. And we're diving even deeper into this Palawan situation.
Trying to get to the bottom of it.
Exactly. And, more importantly, what it means for our listeners.
Especially those interested in real estate.
Yes, our Filipino first-time homebuyers, our investors.
Because we've already talked about how this claim on Palawan...
Calling it Zhenghe Island.
Right, it doesn't hold up.
Not historically.
Not legally.
The Philippines has a strong case.
Oh yeah, they've got evidence.
50,000 years of history.
Archaeological findings.
Maps, treaties.
International agreements.
But here's the thing.
Even if it's a weak claim,
The uncertainty it creates,
that can still have a real impact.
especially on the economy,
And real estate.
because it plants that seed of doubt.
Exactly. And in real estate, confidence is key.
So even if China doesn't actually try to take control of Palawan,
Just the fact that they're making this claim
could scare off investors.
and hurt the market.
That's all about perception.
Absolutely. Imagine you've been saving up.
To buy your dream home in Palawan.
Right. That beachfront property you've always wanted.
Beautiful beaches, crystal clear water,
Paradise.
and suddenly this dispute pops up.
Headlines, news reports.
Investors start getting nervous,
Property values could fluctuate.
and that dream home,
Starts to feel like a risky investment.
that's a nightmare for anyone who's put their hard-earned money into property.
Absolutely.
And it's not just individuals.
No, this could impact the entire real estate industry.
Developers, banks.
Everyone involved.
It creates this ripple effect of uncertainty.
Like a domino effect.
One problem leads to another.
And it can be really hard to stop.
Have we seen this before?
Oh, yeah. These kinds of situations,
Territorial disputes?
they often have a negative impact on real estate.
Because people don't want to invest in a place.
Where there's a chance they could lose everything.
It's understandable.
People want stability.
So what can our listeners do to protect themselves?
Well, first and foremost, knowledge is power.
Stay informed.
Follow reputable news sources.
Don't just rely on social media.
Consult with experts if you need to.
Lawyers, real estate professionals.
Get the facts.
Speaking of facts,
We need to talk about the 9-dash line.
yeah, we mentioned it before.
But it's important to
What
understand
it is and why it matters.
because this is the basis for a lot of China's claims in the South China Sea
Basically, they drew this line on a map.
and said everything inside this line is ours.
The whole thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
But didn't an international court rule against that?
They did. In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration.
Which is kind of like the Supreme Court for international law.
Exactly. They said China's 9-dash line claim had no legal basis.
So it's like someone drawing a circle around their neighbor's yard.
And saying, this is mine now.
And the court's like, nope, that's not how it works.
But even though they lost that case,
China still insists on using this line.
it's causing a lot of tension.
So is this just about Palawan?
No, it's much bigger than that.
The South China Sea is a valuable area.
Rich in resources.
Oil, natural gas,
Witching grounds.
and it's a major shipping route.
So you can see why China wants to control it.
Economic reasons.
Political reasons.
It's all about power.
But the Philippines and other countries in the region are saying, hold on.
This is our territory too.
And that clash of interests,
It's creating uncertainty.
Yeah.
Which can spill over into other areas.
like real estate.
So it's kind of a stalemate,
The Philippines saying they have the historical and legal right to Palawan.
and China saying, no, we do.
Yeah. Competing narratives.
And real-world consequences.
for people trying to build a life.
So where do we go from here?
What can our listeners do?
What should they be thinking about?
That's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
We'll talk about specific risks and opportunities, how to make informed decisions.
And hear from experts.
So stay tuned for part 3.
We'll break it all down for you.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everyone. We've been covering a lot of ground with this Palawan situation.
We have been, from history and maps all the way to international courts and treaties.
It's been quite a journey, but now we're getting to the part our listeners really care about.
What does this all mean for you?
If you're thinking about buying a home or investing in property in the Philippines...
Especially in Palawan.
Exactly. We know this claim is out there.
Calling Palawan Zhang Island.
But we've seen that it doesn't really hold water.
Not historically, not legally.
But we also have to be realistic.
Even a weak claim can create uncertainty.
And uncertainty can make people nervous.
Especially when it comes to something as big as buying a home or investing in property.
So let's get right to it.
Okay.
What's the bottom line for someone who's thinking about investing in Palawan right now?
Well, the first thing to remember is that the Philippines is standing firm.
They're not backing down from their claim to Palawan.
And they have a lot of evidence to support their position.
We talked about all those historical documents.
Archaeological findings, maps, treaties.
The international community recognizes Palawan as part of the Philippines.
So it's not like Palawan is going to suddenly become Chinese territory overnight.
That's reassuring.
But it's still important to be aware of the situation.
To be informed.
To understand the potential risks.
Because this is a real-world situation with real-world consequences.
That could affect people's lives and their investments.
So let's say I'm a first-time home buyer.
Okay.
And I've always dreamed of owning a little piece of paradise in Palawan.
Beautiful beaches, clear blue water.
What would you advise me to do?
First of all, don't panic.
Okay, good advice.
This situation is complex, but it doesn't mean your dream is over.
Right.
The key is to be informed.
Do your research.
Read up on the issue, follow reputable news sources.
Not just social media.
Exactly. And if you need to, talk to a lawyer who specializes in real estate law.
So it's all about being prepared.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
And making informed decisions.
Exactly. Don't just jump in blindly.
Weigh the risks and the rewards.
Talk to real estate agents, developers, even locals.
Get a sense of the market.
Exactly.
So there's a lot to consider.
There is.
But with the right information,
you can make a smart decision.
one that's right for you.
Yes, that goal.
And remember, this situation is still evolving.
Things could change.
Stay up to date, be flexible.
Don't be afraid to adjust your plans if necessary.
That's great advice.
I try.
So we've covered a lot today.
We have.
Ancient history, maps, international courts, treaties.
It's been a whirlwind.
But I think our listeners are walking away with a much better understanding of this complex issue.
I hope so.
And they're better equipped to navigate it.
That's what we're here for.
To help you make informed decisions about your real estate investments.
And to understand the bigger picture.
Because this isn't just about Palawan.
It's about the Philippines.
It's about the South China Sea.
It's about geopolitics and economics.
And that's about the future.
That's right.
So stay informed, stay engaged.
And stay tuned for more deep dives from Excel Edge Realty.
We'll be back with more fascinating topics to explore.
Helping you navigate the exciting world of real estate.
Until next time.